There comes a moment on the spiritual journey when people start noticing something strange, not scary, not random, just strange, okay? Numbers start following you. 1111 on the clock, 222 on receipts, 444 on license plates. And at first you think it's a coincidence, right? But then it keeps happening so often that something inside starts whispering, hold up, this can't be random. And that whisper right there, that's the beginning of the awakening. Because numbers are one of the first ways that the universe starts communicating, especially when your consciousness begins upgrading, okay? But in this episode, we're going to go deeper than the surface level angel number meanings. We're going to talk about the nervous system, 5D consciousness, Palladian frequency teachings, and the deeper language behind sacred codes. Because once your nervous system becomes regulated enough, you're going to begin receiving signals that most people overlook. Okay, so let's kind of tap into nervous system. This is my favorite. When you have a nervous system awakening. I don't know how many we have of these, but I'm sure they happen quite often. Now, the nervous system, just so you know, is more so the antenna of the soul, right? It's part of the body that detects energy before your mind understands it. So when someone begins awakening spiritually, your nervous system starts becoming a little bit more sensitive. It's like you can walk into a room and you feel the energy there, okay? You pick up on people's emotions faster. Certain environments even start to feel heavy. Others may even feel a little bit more peaceful. Some, you might even feel horny walking into a room. And during this time, synchronicities increase, okay? The numbers, the timing, the patterns, that's because your nervous system is becoming more coherent with universal frequency. Now, I want to tie in a little bit according to the Palladian teachings. Humans are naturally capable of perceiving higher dimensional information. Most people's nervous systems are overwhelmed with what? You named it, stress, trauma, distraction, okay? So those signals get drowned out. Now, when the healing begins, the signal becomes a little bit clearer. So that's why I want to spin it off to when 5D consciousness actually comes into play. Now, let's give you a little bit of education because a lot of people hear 5D consciousness and think it means floating in the sky somewhere. That's not what really happens. That's not what it means. 5D consciousness is more so a state of awareness, okay? It's not a location, people. It's when a person's been living from intuition instead of fear, having awareness instead of survival. It's more so a connection instead of separation. So, according to these teachings, all right, humanity is moving through a transition right now where most people are shifting from 3D survival consciousness into 5D awareness, okay? Now, in 3D consciousness, life feels a little random, but in 5D consciousness, life begins feeling synchronized. This is what they tapped into, okay? All of your events start connecting. For example, have you ever had a moment where you sat there and you realize it's a full circle moment? All of the skill sets, everything that you've experienced and been through, whether bad or good, come into play in that very moment. And you say, oh my God, if I wouldn't have known this, I wouldn't have done that. If I wouldn't have learned this, if I didn't have this skill set, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing in this moment. So it's more so like preparation. You've been preparing for all of this. Remember, Earth is school, right? So ding ding, light bulb moment. All of your events start connecting. So people start arriving at all of these meaningful moments, and the sacred codes begin appearing as confirmations along the way. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk about it very briefly, but let's get into the sacred codes, aka angel numbers most people see. Now, if you're seeing 111, I've mentioned before, this is a consciousness activation. Typically, this appears when your thoughts are becoming a little bit more powerful, and it's like the universe saying, hey, pay attention to what you're thinking right now. Because you are in a moment where intentions begin manifesting quickly, okay? So this number often appears when you have a new beginning, when you materialize something, whether it's a person, place, or a thing. So it's your manifestation period. When you're having an awakening moment, okay? Moving on to 222, think of it as an emotional balance. It's more so alignment, right? So when this appears, life is trying to restore some balance in your life. It's kind of showing the universe, or it's the universe, I should say, reminding you to trust the process. And this often shows up during a relationship shift, when you are going through some emotional healing. Also, to let you know to have patience during whatever phase that you're going through. Now, if you see 333, you are gaining tons of spiritual support, okay? This is a frequency of guidance. So this is like the universe saying, you're not navigating this alone. This number tends to truly appear when someone is stepping into their purpose, creativity, spiritual teachings, okay? And that's the number I was born, so it's extra special. 444. We talked about this before. Foundation, stabilization. I always say support, stability, safety. Okay. This appears when your life structure is shifting. This could be a job. This could be a home. This could be a friend circle. This could be your entire identity. So it's a sign that your foundation is being rebuilt in a stronger way. Okay. Now, when you see 555, we all know this is a major life shift, okay? So this is a sacred code of transformation. Now, this number usually appears right before you're moving to cities, right before career changes, right before something unexpected could happen, whether good or bad, okay? Remember, everything has polarity in this world, so unexpected opportunities could arise when you see 555. So it's basically the universe saying, buckle up, things are about to shift, okay? And 666 is more the realignment. Despite what pop culture says, it's actually an alignment code. We spoke about this in the last video, but it appears when someone is overly focused on stress, fear, material pressure. So it's kind of a reminder to return to inner balance, okay? And we all love 777. This is spiritual mastery. This is very rare. So when you see 77, it appears when someone is beginning to trust their inner guidance, okay? Now, this could often be seen during a time where you're having a major spiritual breakthrough. You have developed your intuition to a whole nother level, okay? And you can also see this when you have personal truth moments, okay? 888. This is abundance flow. We know this one. So this appears when energy is circulating strong in your life, okay? And they do say it's often connected to financial flow, more opportunities. I just like to think of it as energetic rewards, the good karma that's coming through. And then 999. We all know this is the number of completion. You're close to completing a cycle. So this will appear when you're ending a specific chapter in your life. It's not a punishment, but it's a preparation letting you know something will end and something will begin, okay, for the next stage. So it's the sacred code of closure, but also a rebirth energy as well. Now, when you get a little bit more advanced, what nobody talks about as far as your sacred codes, numbers that aren't identical repeating digits. Okay, so those often appear when someone's awareness becomes even more refined. I'm telling you, there's levels to this shit. Okay, so for example, if you see 717, okay, your spiritual path is being activated. This is often associated with people who are stepping into a deeper purpose, okay? Because the number 7 is connected to spiritual awareness. Now, when it appears twice with a 1 in the middle, remember I gave you the guide if you guys watch Sacred episode 1 and 2, okay? It symbolizes your intuition is guiding your identity right now. So this number often appears when someone is beginning to really trust their inner voice more than any outside opinions. Okay? Let's throw out 1212, right? So this is your reality alignment. So this is going to appear in your life when everything is aligning in a fast motion, just very quick, because this pattern is representing balance between your internal intention and external reality. Okay, people often report seeing this number during periods of rapid manifestation or important life transitions. Moving further, we can go to 528, right? I know you've heard the 528 hertz, right? So think of this as a transformation frequency, okay? It's often referred to as the frequency of transformation. So in a lot of sound healing traditions, you hear the 528 hertz tone. It's believed to resonate with emotional and energetic restoration, right? So when this secret sequence appears in your daily life, it often accompanies a deep emotional healing, or you could be having a personal breakthrough, okay? Now, let's get into the favorite number, 369. We all love this number, right? This is a powerful frequency connected to so much creative intelligence and manifestation, you guys. Even Nikola Tesla spoke about this mysterious number that's very significant. 369, it tends to appear during tons of breakthroughs, when you have the most innovative idea, when you're gaining a spiritual insight. Now, the power of this universal code, let's talk about that. This is one of the most mysterious sacred codes, I think, of all time, because this sequence has fascinated, I don't know, hundreds or probably even thousands of scientists, mystics, inventors for centuries, okay? So, rewinding back to Nikola Tesla, if you understand, he said, if you understand the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe. Now, how many of y'all have tried 369 methods? You've got the journals, the notepads, you've tried to do it on your own. Now, why would someone that brilliant say something like that? Because 369 appears everywhere in the structure of reality, in vibration, in frequency, in energy patterns, okay? Because many spiritual traditions believe that 3 represents creation, and then you have the 6 that's representing the balance, right? And then the 9 represents completion. So together, when you put them all together, they form this cycle of manifestation, creation, balance, completion, okay? And then the cycle begins again. Now, here's something interesting about these numbers, okay? If you double them, they still follow the same pattern. I know you know this already, but for the sake of the video, 3 becomes 6, right? 6 becomes 12, and then 1 plus 2 becomes 3, and then the pattern repeats. It keeps cycling through the same harmonic sequence. And some researchers believe that this is because 3, 6, and 9 represent the structural rhythm of energy itself. That's deep, okay? They're like the heartbeat of frequency. And that's why this appears so often in spiritual teachings and manifestation discussions. Now, when you start seeing 369, it's going to appear during moments of like a major creative breakthrough. You're manifesting everything in alignment with where you're supposed to be. It's a lot of spiritual insight. It's more so like a signal to your mind that you're entering a state where all of your ideas and reality begin to interact directly together. So some people see this number when they're writing, when they're creating, you know, it could be when you're meditating, when you're building a new version of yourself. So it's the universe way of saying you're thinking in harmony with creation, okay? Even like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just seen 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that. Oh, and right now it's 111. Ha! So this number represents progression and alignment, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. I used to see this so often. Life moving step by step in the right direction. So think of it like the universe saying, you're climbing the right staircase so that this is how it helped me to memorize this. Okay, 1 2 3 4 is one of the most clearest sequences, even like 2 3 4. Okay, 1 2 3, same energy. It's literally represents progression. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Okay, so when this number appears repeatedly, it means life is unfolding in the correct order, even if things feel uncertain or chaotic. Okay, it's the universe definitely just reminding you that you're moving forward step by step. Now, I want to talk about a godly number, which is 1010. Okay, 1010 is a portal number, so it often appears during moments when someone is stepping into their higher awareness and new opportunities are rising. Okay, so 1010 is considered a gateway code. Okay, because think about it, the number 1 is representing your identity and your awareness, and then you have 0 that represents infinite potential. So when you put these together, they create a pattern that symbolizes expanding consciousness. Okay, so when someone sees 1010 frequently, I'd be like, that's a God. God is here. It appears when you're pretty much entering a new stage of personal growth, new opportunities, new awareness, new perspective. Okay, now, why does the universe use number sequences? We all want to know why. That's been like the number one asked question. Okay, numbers are universal. Languages change across many different cultures, but mathematics always stays the same everywhere. So the same equations used on Earth would still work on another planet. Ding, ding. Okay. And this is why many ancient spiritual traditions believe that numbers are the true language of creation. And this is why I'm obsessed with numerology. If you're watching this video, you probably are too. So when someone is expanding their awareness, they begin noticing the deeper patterns inside numbers, okay? Because the universe itself operates through patterns, frequency, mathematical harmony, okay? And this is why sacred geometry exists. This is why the Fibonacci spiral appears in nature. I know you've seen the photos, okay? And this is why number sequences begin appearing during a spiritual awakening. They're just frequency markers, okay? Now, some people wonder like why advanced codes appear later in the awakening, and I kind of want to touch base on that. When you start to see numbers besides 111 to 2244, you start to see other numbers that are not identical, right? 111 and 2244 are just easy for the mind to recognize. But as awareness deepens, the signals become more intricate, okay? It's just kind of like learning a language. First you recognize letters, and then words, and then entire sentences. This is why some people in different languages, you can listen to someone speaking in a different language and you kind of get the gist of what they're saying. Okay? Advanced number sequences are like the universe speaking full sentences to your consciousness. All right? And the real purpose of all of this is it's not meant to control your life. Okay? Because I know I get obsessed. My brain ticks. When I see a number, it automatically adds it up. They're not instructions telling you what to do either. They're just simply reminders from your higher self, okay? Little signals that appear when your consciousness is expanding. That's it. Moments when reality really becomes a little bit more transparent. So they could even be moments when you realize, or actually moments when reality becomes slightly more transparent. Let's just call it that. Okay. Now, you could even sit there and talk about how they could be interconnected, from what we were taught. When these numbers appear, it's just simply saying, pay attention, you're evolving. Because you stop and pause every time you see it. Because it's not something that's very common. Okay. And I did another video where we talked about why you see certain numbers more than other people's do, so make sure to watch the previous video. All right. So if numbers have been appearing in your life lately, I wouldn't ignore them, but I also wouldn't obsess over them either. Just notice them, because these sacred codes are meant to go inward, okay? They're not to control your decisions. They're just simply reminders that your consciousness is evolving. And the fact that you're noticing them means that your awareness is already expanding, which means you're beginning to hear the subtle language that the universe has been speaking all along. Stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll see you there. Subscribe. Bye.